in the Bible, if I did not believe any in the laws and decrees of God in the Bible, if I turned away from the laws and the decrees of the Bible, and I did all the wicked things, I did not repent, and I died on that state, according to the Bible, I would not go to paradise, I will go to hell. But that's not the point. The point is, how long will I be in hell for? Let me finish. Excuse me, let me finish, please. It's important that you understand.
Sacrificing lambs?
Look, you need to understand my point first.
Are you still sacrificing lambs? I have to interfere.
So, the punishment that I will suffer in hell is an eternal punishment, burning in hell.
Are you sacrificing
not
animals?
1 day, not 2 days, not 1 month, not 3 days, or 5 years, or 20 million years. Eternal with no ending. So now I understand that it is very, very long time with no end, my suffering in hellfire. Okay, I understand that. Someone comes along who is going to be my savior, who propitiates and says, I'm going to take that punishment on my shoulder. So let me understand what's happening. If my punishment, you're interrupting, sir, I can't talk because when you're talking. If I am going to be punished and someone is going to be a volunteer, willingly take that punishment on him or her, what's going to happen is this. So if I am going to be punished for, say, 1 million years, I'm cutting down eternity to 1 million years for the sake of argument, right? So the person who's going to volunteer to take the punishment, like this brother of mine, let's say he's Jesus. He is going to suffer the punishment for how long? 1 million years, because that was my punishment. So if I'm going to be punished for 1 million years and someone's going to volunteer to take my punishment, he's going to take the same punishment, like for like. Let me finish. Like for like. So my punishment on his shoulder, he's going to suffer 1 million years. Jesus is the volunteer, according to your belief. So he's going to take my punishment, which is eternal punishment. Let's call it 1 million years for now. Has Jesus burnt in hellfire and suffered the punishment for 1 million years? The answer, I know it obviously. You know it obviously, clearly, plainly. No, he hasn't done that. He went into the hell, according to your belief, for 3 days and 3 nights. So he was insufficient time to take all of my punishment, even as a single individual. Let me finish. Excuse me, can I finish? So now what we have is this. Jesus Christ, according to your belief, has even failed to take the punishment of one individual to suffer eternally in hellfire. What Christians do is this: I say, look, God is God. He doesn't have to suffer eternally. You confuse with quality and quantity. I am saying the quantity of my punishment is what should be like for like. My quantity is not 1 year or 1 million years, 1 zillion years, eternal suffering. If someone's going to volunteer, which is Jesus Christ, according to you, he has to share and suffer the quantity of my punishment, eternal suffering. Obviously, he hasn't done that. So according to the Romans that you quoted, there was no propitiation, there was no volunteering who took away the sins and punishment. It's a failure. I'm sorry. What do you have to say?
I have to say this, that God is God, and God chooses what he's going to do. If God determined that his son, okay, for 3 days and 3 nights died to take away the sins of the world that will last for those that cast him out an eternity, that's God's prerogative, okay?
That's not just like for like. What happened to like for like?
Well,
what happened to like for like?
That's called mercy. That's called grace.
No, punishment. Listen, if you can, okay, let me ask you again, please.
It's grace and mercy.
May I clarify something? If in a court of law, please, in a court of law, if somebody stolen £1 million and says, you know what, that's fine, you don't have the money to pay yourself, he's the volunteer. He can pay it back. And he says, I pay you 1 penny. Is that okay? The court says, yeah, it's fine.
No, sir, but listen.
Why not? Why not no?
God sent his only son.
Where is the justice?
Eternal, blameless. Okay? To God, his payment was sufficient.
It wasn't sufficient.
It
was an eternal punishment.
To God,
it was an eternal punishment.
God, it was sufficient. Listen.
And it's not mercy.
So he wasn't just there.
To God.
So you're saying God wasn't just there?
No. To God, he accounted it as just. So
wasn't
who
just
am I to say?
You know what justice is? Justice is like for like.
God.
Justice is like for like.
God has accepted Jesus' death and resurrection.
That wasn't just
as
according to what you
payment.
just understand about justice.
God has accepted
I think.
No, you need to take it
No.
up with God.
Look.
Not with me.
not just.
If you believe in justice,
Listen,
Even if I
Listen,
stretch it and I agree with you, it's merciful. It's not just.
excuse me, but you know what? It is up to God to decide. I am not God. He said it is so. Okay? You either take it or you leave it.
Either you
Just
follow your
take it
scripture
or
or you
leave
don't.
it. You
Either you
know?
follow or you don't.
Just I
The
follow
scripture
it.
tells you the father is not responsible for the son.
Listen.
The son is not responsible for the father.
No,
you bring something
but
to
it
the-
also
God
says
now.
that you
We're
are
talking-
responsible
we're
for
talking
your
about
own
God.
sins.
Yes.
It is also says
Nobody
that
needs to die
every
for you.
individual
okay, I
is
think we've
responsible
made our point
for
quite
their
clearly.
own
The
sins.
two things that you
But
said,
you said
Two things.
It's eternal hellfire just.
Your son cannot die for you.
Why is it just?
because not everyone deserves eternal hellfire. A category of people, only a
Your
category of
son
people,
cannot die for you.
they
I'm
deserve
glad.
eternal
Thank you
hellfire.
very
My
much.
other
Yes,
favorite
Yeah?
Muslim
Not because,
blasphemer.
yeah,
Thank you.
that's right, take care.
yes,
Not
all
because
right.
of,
All right.
not because of
I
just
see you.
Okay. See, I have
sins
got
that you
to
do
go.
and so on. No, there are one sins that deserves eternal hellfire. No one's going to come out. That sin is a sin of association, partnership with God. If you die on that state, God will never forgive you. You will remain in hellfire. But if you have done lots of other sins, God, in His mercy, He can bring you back.
So that's your opinion. That
Not my opinion. This is
eternal justice is associating partners with Allah.
That's God. What God said so, because God explains as well what happens who is recipient of this eternal punishment. Let me ask you a question. Are you a Muslim?
No, I'm a open-minded person.
Okay.
Who receives knowledge
Do you
all
believe?
the time.
Do you believe this universe was created by something or nothing?
I think the universe has always been around.
Okay. The universe has always been around. So there was always this universe.
There's always been a universe that's changed over time.
It changes over time. Does the universe show some kind of design and organization within its complexity? Does it show signs of intelligent designer?
I would say
You're an open-minded
no.
person. So, for example, when the water defies gravity and goes up the tree to the leaves, that's not by design, is it?
By its own design. It's by its own will, nature's will.
Now you are, what you're doing is you're saying there's something called nature who is a designer. Instead of saying this design around nature, you're saying nature designed it.
Yeah, creation is the creator.
Okay. Give me the attributes of nature. Does nature have consciousness?
Yeah, human beings.
I'm not talking about human beings. I'm talking about nature.
Nature. We're human beings. We're part of nature. So nature is me and you, and all living things, and planets and everything.
Did you make that tree?
Tree comes from its own surroundings. It comes from nature. Creation is the creator.
Listen, comes
I
from,
didn't make it.
Listen, comes from nature. Nature has no intelligence. Nature has no consciousness, or does it?
Yeah, I would say yes.
Right.
It has,
So nature has consciousness. So nature knows that you exist.
because it's in my mind. That's how I know
Okay.
consciousness.
So-
nature has consciousness.
So nature consciously created the stars.
I would say it came out. It created itself.
Excuse me. Did nature consciously create the stars?
I can't say yet. No, I could say it was guided by itself. I don't know what that means.
Can you reflect a little bit more? The stars was not created by human beings or the trees or anything that you see on this earth. So did nature, who has consciousness, self-awareness, create stars?
You say nature's got consciousness. Anyway.
So now,
you're making a
now
statement.
you're going
You're
to
making a statement.
back out and say nature has no consciousness and self-awareness.
I'm saying, what do you mean by nature? Do you mean nature as in all living things, everything in the universe?
Everything all around us.
So you're saying, well, I just told you, human beings have consciousness. I mean, what do you mean by consciousness? Nature is its own will. Has its own will.
Which part of my question is not understood by yourself? Did nature, who has consciousness and self-awareness, create the stars? Tell me, which part of that question is not clear to you?
Well, you're making a statement. Nature has consciousness. You're saying.
No, he didn't say that.
Yeah, he said.
You
does
said it earlier
nature
on.
Who has consciousness?
You said earlier on. That's why I agreed with you and I carried on. Now, are you saying nature does not have consciousness and self-awareness?
Well, I told you, consciousness is because I, as a human being, are part of nature. Therefore, nature has consciousness.
Good. So the nature who has consciousness didn't create the stars with consciousness and self-awareness.
The stars create themselves. That's all I can think of. I don't know if they. When you say consciousness, you mean the stars have a will
You
to
agree?
create themselves?
And then you go back again. Perhaps
stars
someone
have a
else.
will
Let
to
me-
create
no, no, no,
themselves.
Can something create itself?
Yeah, it's created from its
No.
own.
Can anything create itself?
Its own
Do you
power.
know of anything that's created itself?
Did you create yourself?
Can you find anything,
My
any
parents
example in the whole
created
universe of something that has created itself? So it didn't exist.
Yeah, from the star came from matter around itself, and it created itself.
Okay,
You can
in
see
order for
that.
something to be created, it would have to exist and not exist at the same time. They have to exist in order to create, and they have to not exist in order to be created. So that's a contradiction there. So if you just think about
Created,
that.
you mean it made itself?
Come into existence.
All right, it come into existence from previous material
So
that
it
come
didn't create
together.
itself. So it didn't create itself.
It come together.
So you're saying it came from something else.
Yeah, from material around itself.
First you said it created itself. So first you said, so it has a consciousness. You're saying, so it consciously brought all the materials together, and it created itself.
Well, that's observation. You can see these things happen.
I've never seen that. I don't think there's any observation that shows.
See a star explode, right? That's supernova.
What's that got to do with creation?
I think they've observed stars in a process of development. They could see the stars coming
They've
into
seen
being.
that star is conscious. It's got all the elements together, all the materials required, and it's come together and it's created itself with the consciousness. Okay, sorry.
No consciousness. That's a different question. That's a different question.